had the trial, the charge has been dropped, and I think we've had enough shit shoved down our throats. It's time for a bit of setting the story straight, I suppose. Beware the man who's got nothing to lose. There's a bit more to come yet.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And that was Bruce Lerman on Channel 7 Spotlight 2 weeks ago, warning that he was a man on a mission and there was more to come. But more of what exactly? Recently, we've seen a flood of confidential material leaked to the media from Lerman's aborted rape trial that has helped him and harmed his accusers.
If we go another hour, if we could, there's going to be heaps to say. But
Tonight, we're devoting our programme to the war over Lerman and Higgins being fought in the media and to those leaks, which may well be in contempt of court. Among them are thousands of Higgins' private text messages that she handed over to the police, including some that show her and boyfriend David Shiraz discussing how to damage the coalition over her rape allegation. And these saw Labor's Katie Gallagher chased through a car park last week by The Australian, as a political storm erupted over whether Gallagher misled Parliament back in 2021.
New texts obtained by 7 News only today reveal her deeper involvement in communicating with Ms Higgins and her boyfriend David Shiraz.
It casts more doubt about her involvement and raises new questions about her prior knowledge of Ms Higgins' tell-all interview.
Bruce Lerman denies 100% that he is behind the leaks, and there is no evidence that he is involved. But he does benefit from them, as he does from embarrassing audio of pre-interviews for the project surrendered to the court on subpoena but played on Spotlight, which had Channel 10's lawyers asking,
who leaked this?
I'd like to record this if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, go for it.
A 5-hour audio recording made as the team from the project held a pre-interview meeting with Brittany Higgins and her partner, David Shiraz.
You will never get a pre-selection now.
Clips that Lisa Wilkinson's barrister says were highly edited to paint them as villains.
the leaked audio paints an unflattering portrait of a media sausage being made. Shiraz and Higgins are clearly plotting to damage Lerman, who's always denied raping Brittany Higgins, while 10's reporter and producer look on. And Spotlight suggests Lisa Wilkinson is coaching Higgins on what to say. But it's not only 7 that's been having a field day with this treasure trove. The Daily Mail has used the leaks to publish an astonishing 85 stories in the past 3 weeks, which almost all take aim at Higgins, with exclusives about the bombshell text messages between ABC star Laura Tingle and Brittany Higgins, explosive texts between Higgins and Peter Fitzsimons about publicity for a lucrative book deal, and more astonishing text messages revealing a secret plot to enlist senior Labour MPs to do over Scott Morrison. And on Sky News, Sherry Markson has also been using material leaked from the rape case to blaze a trail.
We've obtained the full audio recordings from that extraordinary 5-hour secret meeting between Brittany Higgins, her fiancé David Shiraz, and journalist Lisa Wilkinson.
I want something concerning estimates to come out of this.
For several days, Markson has been claiming a new exclusive night after night, offering
new bombshell audio and text messages. I have more exclusive revelations tonight. We've got more breaking news, more explosive audio.
And telling viewers,
I'll also play you Brittany's admission, in her own words, that her story was all about politics and not about her.
the attacks on Higgins and her supporters, which have also filled the columns of The Australian, have been relentless and the volume of stories extraordinary. So, is this fatwa justified? Sky has no doubt the answer is yes, telling Media Watch,
this sorry saga goes to the heart of our political and justice systems. Most of those questioning if it's in the public interest are either journalists who've missed the story or those with a vested interest in keeping it hidden.
But Channel 10 and the project's Lisa Wilkinson are outraged and have recently been fighting back, asking the Australian Federal Police to find the leaker, lodging official complaints to 7 over the Spotlight interview, and letting rip in a letter from Wilkinson's lawyers to Spotlight's executive producer Mark Llewellyn, accusing the programme of serious and false allegations, misuse of protected documents, and deceptively editing the material, and adding,
it beggars belief that a 90-minute program was prepared, apparently over many weeks, if not months, and at no time was any contact made with our client or Network 10 to obtain comment.
We asked Channel 7 if they deny those allegations, if they did seek comment from Wilkinson and Fitzsimons, and if they plan to apologise as requested. They told us,
There was nothing deceitful in the broadcast. The tapes were in total context and spoke for themselves. It was said. It was in the public interest to be heard. It was serious. Nothing false, nothing to apologise for.
So, is it wrong for the media to use leaked protected documents? And could they be in contempt of court for doing so? Attorney General Mark Dreyfus told Parliament the answer is yes.
Material produced to a court in response to a subpoena is subject to an implied undertaking from the parties who receive it that it won't be used for purposes other than for those court proceedings. To breach it may constitute a contempt of court.
Two legal experts contacted by Media Watch, Dr Michael Douglas and Professor David Rolfe, agreed with that verdict. But both said it would be impossible for TEN to launch a case if it can't identify the leakers. So, how hard will the AFP go looking, especially since the police, in theory, could be culprits? Meanwhile, TEN's lawyers allege the leaks are linked to defamation cases brought against TEN, Lisa Wilkinson and the ABC by Bruce Lerman. And specifically, that the leaks are designed to discourage potential witnesses, including Brittany Higgins, from giving evidence in the case, which is back in court next month.
From her lawyer, our client is suffering from the ongoing publication of her private documents. She believes it's part of a deliberate attempt to undermine her credibility.
But it's not just Higgins' credibility that is at risk. The ACT DPP abandoned the Crown prosecution of Lerman last December because he'd been advised that Higgins' mental health was so fragile, her life was at risk. The media's behaviour since then can only have put a vulnerable woman under more pressure. And several commentators, including Jacqueline Maley and Samantha Maiden, who ran the first interview with Higgins 2 years ago, argued that the media has a duty to be more careful.
Whatever you think of the merits of the bitter and thoroughly awful Higgins-Lehrmann matter, the villainising of a sexual assault complainant in the press and the rubbishing of her privacy is a terrible indictment on our society's ability to administer justice.
Regardless of where you sit in this debate, what is happening to her now is not okay. How she is being treated is not okay.
Higgins' critics reply that she and her supporters deserve it, with Sky's Rowan Dean saying on the weekend,
she deliberately decided to sacrifice her privacy and take the matter to the media and put it out there.
And writing in The Australian, Janet Albrechtsen argued in similar vein.
Having tried to mould the media message, they cannot complain when some parts of the media, including this newspaper, decline to be shaped for their purposes. That was the gamble Higgins and Shiraz took.
And The Australian's editorial echoed that view.
There is no question that publication of the text messages between Ms Higgins and Mr Shiraz is in the public interest.
Now, it's no surprise that The Australian takes this stance. It has run about 40 stories favourable to Lerman in the last month, taking aim at his accuser and her motives.
Higgins, politics, plots, feed everything to Katie.
At the DPP, who brought the rape charge.
Crown Lager or Drum Gold Bitter. Prosecutor calls beer o'clock.
And repeatedly at TEN's star reporter.
The proper thing to do would be for Lisa Wilkinson to hand back her logie.
And many have shared that cutting tone. But the Australian's coverage goes back to October last year, when the trial collapsed, with dozens of stories, often on the front page, and more recently widening to attack the entire Metoo movement. The Australian was also the first to use protected court material to take Lerman's accuser down, with this story last December drawing on her leaked private text messages that were not revealed to the jury.
Police doubted Brittany Higgins, but case was political.
And another in February, questioning whether Higgins had returned a designer coat belonging to her boss, Linda Reynolds, which used Brittany's private diary to paint her as a woman enjoying her fame.
Doubts, devastation and a designer coat. The story you haven't heard.
Dinner plus drinks with Lucy and Malcolm.
After that story was published, Brittany Higgins made her feelings about the Australian's invasion of her privacy perfectly clear, begging the media,
stop publishing the private contents of my phone. I entrusted police with my private information for the sole purpose that it could aid their investigation, nothing else.
But that plea has fallen on deaf ears, with the Australian and Higgins' other pursuers arguing that she's reaping what she sowed. They say not only did Higgins go to the media, she became the poster girl for Metoo, appearing with Grace Tame on the cover of Marie Claire in November 2021, which celebrated them as Women of the Year. and taking to the stage in Canberra, with Lisa Wilkinson by her side, at the Women's March for Justice in March of that year.
It's been a day where the voiceless have reclaimed their voices.
Then cheers for an unexpected arrival. The woman who sparked this groundswell returning to the building where her life was changed.
But does that make Higgins fair game for unlimited attack? Former ABC journalist and Independent MP Zoe Daniel says no.
I don't think that there's an equivalency there which allows the media to say, oh, well, because this person chose to go to the media in the first instance, that means we have free rein over what we'd like to publish.
What it surely does give the media is a right to challenge Higgins' version of events, and to Lerman, the right to try to clear his name, even though he chose not to give evidence at the trial. Lerman's barrister Stephen Wybrow says Higgins convicted his client in the court of public opinion. And by going public, she forfeited the protection of anonymity the legal system guarantees to rape complainants.
We had a person making a complaint about a serious offence, a sexual assault, who, notwithstanding being urged not to do it this way by police, decided to go to the media and have an interview of her allegations aired on national television. And taking aim at the Metoo movement, Wybrow adds, Hashtag #MeToo has, in many respects, metastasised into, for a lot of people, hashtag believe all women. Believe all complainants is a short way of saying presume guilt.
The Higgins-Lehrmann story has played out in the media over the last 2 years as a game of two halves, and both are political. For almost 18 months, progressive media championed Higgins as a brave woman and accepted she was the victim of sexual assault and cover-up by the coalition.
I didn't want his sympathy as a father. I wanted him to use his power as Prime Minister.
Then, since Lerman's trial collapsed last October, Conservative media have championed him as a man denied a fair go and a fair trial by the Me Too mob.
I could say a lot of things that are probably not appropriate for TV, but...
Like what?
It was outrageous. It was this entire case was.
And Lerman and Higgins are not the only ones to be damaged. As lawyer Michael Bradley observed in Crikey,
I remember privately noting a long time ago that it would burn everyone it touched. And so it has. Uncontrollable bonfire, or bin fire, that it has become. Nobody comes out of this shit show unsmeared.
A short list would include Higgins and Lerman, DPP Shane Drumgold, Higgins' then boss Linda Reynolds, her Chief of Staff Fiona Brown, ex-PM Scott Morrison, Senator Katie Gallagher and senior officers at the AFP. Also among the casualties has been Ten's Lisa Wilkinson, whose journalistic credibility and integrity has been mocked and attacked by News Corp outlets, kicking off with this withering front page in the telly 1 year ago.
Hand up if you've caused court chaos.
Rape trial date vacated after TV host Slogie speech.
Wilkinson may well have crossed the line by getting too close to her subject, but the Daily Mail has also pursued her relentlessly, running almost 70 stories on her in the past 6 months, including snide takedowns like this.
Inside the mind of Lisa Wilkinson. Self-styled justice warrior name drops movie stars, PMs and billionaires before qualifying she was once a nobody from Campbelltown over corn chips and cocktails with Brittany Higgins.
And 10 days ago, news.com.au smeared her as a racist with this headline for a remark taken totally out of context. Nor is the saga over yet. Findings from an official inquiry into the investigation and prosecution of Lerman are expected next month. And that's also when defamation actions against Ten and Lisa Wilkinson will be back in court. Meanwhile, Lerman has settled his claim against News Corp, we're told, with no apology, no damages and just a contribution to his legal costs. Yet, for some extraordinary reason, he says he's extremely happy with the result. Rumours that he in fact got a big settlement have been denied. Meanwhile, the pursuit of Higgins continues, even though several politicians are now calling time.
Well, there needs to be an inquiry into how this has happened. I mean, this can't happen again. This is supposed to be a country which values the rule of law and proper process.
More worryingly for the media, Independent MP Zali Steggall has suggested it's not just an inquiry we need. It's tougher, new privacy laws.
Freedom of speech is important, but so is privacy. If the media can't hold themselves to a greater ethical standard, the government needs to step in.
So, could privacy laws have protected Higgins? Well, yes, they could, except that some of the leaks have clearly exposed matters of public interest, and those should be immune. Tougher rules about the use of material surrendered to police or the courts in pursuit of a prosecution could also be a way forward. But if you're punishing leakers, you've got to catch them first. Meanwhile, what's really needed, and entirely unlikely to happen, is for the media to behave with a little more empathy and concern for the people who are damaged by their stories. Lerman and Higgins have both had their lives trashed by media and politics amid a war over competing versions of the truth. Speaking personally, if I were doing some of the things that have been done to them, I would not be able to sleep at night. That's all from us for now. You can read full statements from Seven, Sky, the Daily Mail and the Australian on our website. Don't forget Media Bites on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. But for now, until next week, goodbye.